Good morning. This is Cody with Secure Agent Mentor. What's up, guys? Hey, it's Cody with Secure Agent Mentor and SecureAgentMentor.com. This is another episode of Six Figure Focus, where we are bringing something to you every morning to make sure that you are on your game and that you can make six figures. And if we put a focus on it, if we do this together, and if we talk together, and if we train together, and if we get better together, we will win. We will make six figures. We will reach our goals. I'm actually standing up behind my desk talking into the Blue Yeti podcast microphone as we speak. Again, this is Cody with Secure Agent Mentor and SecureAgentMentor.com, the brand new training website for all insurance agents all over the nation. This is Six Figure Focus, where we are bringing a new topic and a new training discussion to you every day. And this one is as important as they have ever been. This one is extremely important. And I feel like this is one thing that we're going to talk about today, which is if you can master the telephone, if you can master the phone, you will succeed. If there's one thing we can get good at in this business, in the insurance business, it's the telephone. If you can become the absolute best in your office, the best in your city, the best in your state, and the best in the country, the best in the industry on the telephone, if that's something we can put some focus on and you can master one thing and it be the telephone, you will kill it. I'm getting goosebumps right now. I'm getting so excited by how freaking incredible you can be on the telephone and how much money the telephone can make you. It is unreal how important the telephone is. So this six-figure podcast episode is called Mastering the Phone. This is the most important sales tool that we will ever have by far. We will never have a more important sales tool in our life than the telephone. I wanted to tell you about a quick story. My very first call, my very first time I picked up the phone, I was, I think I may have been 18, and I was literally absolutely pissing my pants. I did not want to pick up the phone. I was freaking out. I had I was about to start calling through my warm market list because I was a brand new agent. I was actually, this was when I was just part-time for a few months before I went into it full-time. But I was just freaking out, man. I did not want to get on the phone. I didn't have the confidence in the phone. Like today, I can get on the phone and I feel like I can sell anyone, anytime, anywhere on the phone. I feel like I'm one of the best individuals in the industry, if not the best, on the phone. Well, back then I wasn't, man. I did not have the confidence. So I was about to start calling through my warm market list. Well, I didn't want to do it. I'm having that little fear of rejection, just a little fear in general. So my sales manager back then picked up the phone, dialed the number, and actually handed me the phone. Well, once it's ringing, you ain't getting out now. Well, to my surprise, the call went superb. It went really well. We had an outline. We had a script that we wanted to follow, a process. And surprisingly, the warm market, because what happened is, I didn't mention this. There was one person on the list I did not want to call. Well, my sales manager asked me, "Hey, who's the person that you don't want to call the most, or that you want to call the least?" Well, what's funny is I was stupid, and I was honest and told him the name. He dialed that number. He put me on the phone with the person I did not want to talk to. Well, to my surprise, they were excited to hear from me, pleasantly surprised, and booked an appointment. My very first appointment ever came with someone that I didn't want to talk to, that I did not think would say yes. How crazy is that? If we'll just get out of our head and just put forth some effort and just do whatever it takes, no matter what the result is, it will work out in the end. It will work out for us. So that was a quick story about myself. That was just something I just always loved. It was hilarious. So I've got a little outline today, as I always do. And even when you're on the phone, you always want to have an outline. So my outline today is the very first topic I want to talk about is Overcoming fear, which we just touched on for a brief minute. You have to overcome fear. You got to get out of your head. You can't mentally psych yourself out. If you can overcome fear and put fear out of the way, you will do well and you will learn to master the phone. It's funny. I have agents that just are scared to death to get on the phone. And they know if they get on the phone, if they master the phone, if they put forth enough effort, they will freaking kill it. They will slay it in this industry. Well, I tell them all the time, get the thing you want to do the least out of the way first. Every morning, the first thing you do is get on the telephone. If that's the one thing you don't want to do the most, or that you're regretting the most, or that you're procrastinating to not do, then do it. Then pick up the phone every morning, 8 a.m., and start dialing. Get it out of the way. Overcome your fear. Make it a part of your day. Next is having a script, or at least an outline. No matter what it is or what you're saying, you need to at least have a script or some type of outline. Some type of, maybe it's a script. Hey, this is Cody. I've known you forever. I'm getting in the insurance business. I'm going to swing by and show you what I do now. Would you rather that be a morning or an evening? Which works better for you? I'll squeeze you into my calendar. You squeeze me into yours and we'll make it happen. You notice how I didn't even ask. I just assumed, which is something that actually brings me, because it's going to be my next point, because even if you don't have a quote-unquote exact script, at least have an outline that says, okay, warm up, tell the reason why you're calling, and then get into, hey, I'm here to do this, set the appointment, cool down, and hang up. At least have some type of structure to the call. Like when you want structure in an appointment, the 4-step appointment process, which was our 4th episode, which was recorded yesterday morning. If you didn't hear that, get on there on my YouTube channel, 6 Figure Focus, and listen to that. That was sick. You got to have some type of structure. Because if we've got an end game, a goal that we want to hit, well, we got to have some structure to do that. And so, same thing with phone. To master the phone, you got to have some type of structure, some type of outline, some type of script. Even I have maybe it's not always on paper anymore because I've been doing this so long and because I've made hundreds of thousands of millions of phone calls at this point in my career. I've still got a mental outline. There's still a structure to every call that I make. I just know what it is. It's internal at that point. Now, do I still put stuff on paper occasionally? Abso-freaking-lutely. Absolutely. The third thing I want to talk about is assume, which is when we just talked about. You have to assume, to be good on the phone, there's 2 things you have to do. You have to learn to get to the point, and you have to learn to assume. And when it comes to assuming, assume that when you call them, they're going to answer. Assume when they answer, they're going to be nice. Assume that when they're nice, that they want to talk to you. Assume that when they want to talk, that when they want to talk to you, that they're going to book an appointment. And assume that when they book the appointment, they're going to make it, that they're going to buy. Assume every step of the way. If you do not assume, and if we do not assume that they're going to do something, they have less chance of doing what we think it is that they are going to do. You have to assume. There's an old saying, I won't get into it, but I don't believe with what some people say about the word assume, and you may know what I'm referring to, because it's absolutely imperative when you are mastering the telephone is to learn to assume. The 4th thing I want to touch on is having a system, having a dialing schedule or a system per se. I'm huge at having a system in the insurance business. I love systems and processes for everything. Have a system. If you're going to learn to master the phone, you need to have a system. Hey, I'm going to call from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. every day. Even, Monday through Friday, and then I'm going to call on Saturday mornings and Sunday afternoons. Whatever the case is, just have a system and do it. You can tweak your system as you go to improve it. Because if you're not improving, you're doing what? Yeah, you're going backwards. So let's always make sure that we're improving our system. But the system, it has to be done. You have to have some structure. Because if you don't have structure, like myself, I'm doing this podcast every morning. If I don't have structure and if I don't line out, hey, I'm going to do this every morning, something's going to come up. Something's going to throw my schedule for a loop, and it's not going to happen. So I've got to make sure that it's on my schedule, and I'm doing it first thing every day, 7:30 in the morning before anybody gets here. And you notice I mentioned 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., and 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Those are the 4 best hours of the day that I feel like to call. Yeah, you can also throw in 7 to 8 p.m. That's also a fantastic time. But I love the early morning and the evening. I'm not huge in calling in the mid-afternoon. I can find better stuff to do. Unless I'm using an auto dialer and it's dialing several numbers at a time for me where I know someone's going to answer. I'm just not big on calling in the afternoon. I'm telling you, the best times to call in this business, early morning and evening. Guaranteed. Okay, the next thing, because if I don't hurry, I could talk on this for hours. I'm getting so jacked up and excited. All this stuff is, mastering the phone is so important to your success in this business that I could talk about it forever. The next thing is record. Record all your calls. For a while, I still have a software that records every call I ever make. And yes, I listen to them at night before I go to bed. Well, and I have agents that do this all the time. Record yourself on the phone so you can hear yourself and you can find ways to improve. If you hear yourself saying, we've all got bad habits. There's a lot of people that say, here's the thing, or on it, or they have certain words they like to say a lot, or they notice that they're not letting the customer talk. Maybe they're not listening well enough. Maybe they're talking too much. Maybe they're talking over the customer. There's a lot of things you can learn by listening to a recording. I do a radio show here in the Springfield, Missouri area every Friday at 3 o'clock called The Fantasy Professionals. It's a fantasy sports show. I listen to the recording back every week to see how I can improve. I'm an absolute perfectionist, which brings me to my next point. To learn, you need to record yourself to improve as you go. But the next point is practice, practice, practice. There's an old saying, hey, practice makes perfect. Well, if you don't have good practice habits, you're not going to get perfect. There's a better saying that everyone says, hey, perfect practice makes perfect. Well, obviously you can agree more with that one because you're practicing as near perfect as you can. Well, practice, 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 be consistent, dial, dial, dial. The best way to master the phone is to get 100,000 calls in. I mean, in this business, it's going to take 100,000 calls, 1 million calls, maybe less for some people, but hey, just become an absolute stud and become an absolute master of the telephone. You've got to practice. You've got to be consistent, which brings me to my next point, which is be aggressive. If you are a passive individual, then flip the script. When you get on the phone, become aggressive. Because if you're not aggressive, especially when you're cold calling or when you're calling leads, if you're not aggressive and in control, then the customer will be aggressive, they will be in control, and you will struggle to get answers out of people. I've got agents right now in this office that have been doing this for a while. They don't do as good as me on the telephone, and they've been in the business just as long because they are not. Well, number one, they just don't have the ability. Their skill is not at my skill level. But even more important than that, they're not as aggressive as I am. I am calling, I am in control, and I'm getting people to do what I want them to do. Let me be very clear. I am getting people to do exactly what I want them to do. So be aggressive. It will pay off immensely. You have to be aggressive if you ever want to master the telephone. Now, I'm going to end with one little saying, which is if you're going to lose a sale, this is something I learned a long time ago, back when I was a late teenager. My phone's over here ringing. One of my agents. I'm going to put it on mute and call him back. If you're going to lose a sale, lose it going down swinging. If you're going to lose a sale, lose it on your own terms. What does that mean? If you can tell someone is just blowing you off, or that you're not going to make the sale, or something's wrong, or like for instance, this doesn't have to do with the telephone, but this will be a good example. I go into homes all the time, and the person wants to sit on the couch, or they want to run the appointment in the living room. I know there's a less chance, the percentages go down if I sit on the couch and talk to somebody to make a sale. So I tell them, hey, it'd be easier for everyone if we could sit at the table. Can we meet at the table if that's okay with you? lose a sale on your own terms. If you know they're not going to buy, I get it all the time where I can tell a lead's just blowing me off, or they're not taking me seriously, or they're not listening. And I'll tell them, hey, I don't quite have your attention yet, do I? How powerful is that? If I didn't have their attention before, that's going to get their attention. If we're going to lose a sale without doing something, let's take the action, even if it's borderline too aggressive or too crazy, or you don't want to be rude. You always want to be nice. You always want to be respectful. But I'd rather lose the sale on my terms than on their terms. So I hope that makes sense. I'd rather lose a sale with me going down swinging than without me trying at all. I'm going to get their attention no matter what it takes. Again, this is Cody Askins with Secure Agent Mentor and SecureAgentMentor.com. I want to make sure that we do these quite frequently, because I can guarantee if you follow the methods that we practice, the methods that we teach, that we put in these podcast episodes, there's no chance of you failing. If you put work ethic in and you incorporate these things that we teach every single day, you will make $100,000. You will succeed in the insurance business, and you will be one of the 10% that actually makes it 3 years, or that actually gets by for 3 years. The retention in this industry is horrible. Well, we're going about to change that. We are fixing that today, and it starts with you. Again, this is Cody with Secure Agent Mentor and SecureAgentMentor.com. This is another episode of the 6-Figure Focus podcast. Hope you have an awesome day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.